Hey guys, it's Josh from KDM Tuners. Today we're going to be installing a 6 element front mount intercooler onto the SoCal Garage Works Show Beast. He has an 845 intercooler now. Is going to be upgrading to the 6 element kit. So today we're going to go ahead and go through the motions and show you guys how to install that on your cars. It's going to be a little bit different because it's not an OEM to a 6 kit. It's going to be an 845 to a 6 kit, so the steps might be a little bit different. But if you watch our first video, the 845 intercooler install kit, it's going to be pretty similar to that. So the videos are going to be very close to each other. But with that said, let's just get into this thing and show you what you want to see. Alrighty, let's get it on. First steps first is we're going to remove the hot pipe from underneath the car. The 845 kit, like before, everything's an 11 millimeter. So we'll go ahead and take the loosen these guys up here and get these clamps off. So I think we'll try to get this out in maybe one shot, but we'll take this top clamp off the turbo. Alright, that one's pretty loose, and we'll see, maybe we could slide it down, and we'll have to play with that a little bit. Actually, we're going to have to probably loosen all these clamps up real quick. So I'm going to break out the trusty impact wrench. Like I said on the last video, make sure you can put these to where you can get at them. I didn't do a good job on this one. Loosen those up. They're going to fit. So we'll go back to our 11 millimeter. We're just going to loosen up everything a little bit. Now you probably don't have to loosen every one of these, but we're going to do that just in case we run into a snag. We can just pop it off real quick. But now that we got everything loosened, got all the clamps loosened up here, ready to go, we're going to go ahead and pop this pipe off right here at the end of the hot pipe. There we go. And then we can go ahead and remove this hot pipe that's connected, or this whole unit right off the turbo. Got this hot pipe out. And we're going to go ahead and toss that to the front of the car. There's the clamp for it. Alright, we got the hot pipe all loose from the bottom. Now we're going to hop to the front and get this thing completely out. So let's jump to the front. Alright, now we're to the front of the hot pipe. There's 2 clamps here that we're going to do. And we'll just rip these off real quick. Once these are loose, you can slide them up so you can see what we're doing. You just kind of pull them apart. Just slide it down onto the pipe. We're going to rotate this one up, same thing. And we're loosening that up. And we need to get it a little bit looser there. And on these clamps, if you can't pull them apart like this, what I like to do is I'll show you real quick. Get yourself a little mallet like this and just hit the bottom one like that, and it'll open it up. So, and then what we can do is just wiggle this one out. Here's the hot pipe, and then we'll pull the coupler off here. All right, got the coupler and the hot pipe off now. So next step, we're going to go ahead and jump onto the other side and disconnect the cold pipe off the car, and then end up taking this core off here. So let's go get the cold pipe off of this, and we'll move to the next step. All right, now we're at the throttle body. This one we used, it was a 10 millimeter on the first one, so we'll go ahead and loosen that up. Next one is going to be our 11. So let's get that switched over, loosen that up. All right, and we just kind of pry those open if we can. So it's stuck. So let's see if we can get our there we go. Loosen that one down. And that one's loose enough to come off there, so that's good. Now we're going to slide right over here and unplug the map sensor. And plug that. And we're going to go down here and unplug our vacuum line off the pipe. So I got to clip the we got it zip tied on there. So when you guys put these lines on, make sure you zip tie everything like this, and it just keeps it from coming off. Didn't even get it off there. There we go. So pull the zip tie off that, and we're gonna go ahead and pull that off. So now everything is disconnected on the cold pipe so far. We just have to get the two clamps on the bottom here. These are the 845, like I said before a million times, so we got our 11 millimeters. These are set up perfect to pull these off. Okay, let's get these nice and loosened up so we can slide them off. All right, so let's see if we can get the cold pipe off without taking the intercooler off first. When we install these, if you guys watch the other video, the way we do this is put the cold pipe into the throttle body first, and then push the intercooler itself onto the cold pipe. So this one we're able just to pull right out without doing that step. So I'll pull this one out, and then what we're gonna do, we got to take this map sensor or whatever off the cold pipe to install on the new one, but we'll do that in a second. So we'll save that for the next step. So next step, we're gonna go ahead and take the horns off the crash bar, remove the blow-off valve off the car, and pull the core off, and then the crash bar off. Okay, we're moving over to getting this blow-off valve. We're gonna take the horns off, then we'll take the core off. We're gonna pull the crash bar out, and that's the next few steps here. So using the Greddy, we're going to go ahead and use this on the new kit as well. So this is just a little Allen deal, and it uses a 10 millimeter nut on the other side. So we're just going to loosen, there's two. We're just going to loosen those up. So we'll go ahead and remove these. And we'll just kind of let that stay threaded in a little bit so the valve doesn't drop off. We're going to go ahead and get this line off here. So same thing, we have zip tie everything. We're going to go ahead and clip that off and remove that. There we go. Save that for later. And then we'll go back under the underside and loosen this one here. Okay. And now we'll go ahead and pull these hex bolts, I guess you call them, off completely. Looks to be like an M6 bolt. I don't know if any of that information means anything to any of you, but there it is. All right, so we got our valve off. The seal looks good, everything looks good, so we're gonna save this. This is gonna go on the new kit. So we'll set that there for now. Next up would be, we're gonna remove the horns off of it. This is also a 10 millimeter deal here, so I'm gonna use our trusty Matco.
Don't be afraid, won't let you fall, girl.
Next up on this is going to be removing the core off the car. So on the 845 kit, we have it mounted down below here. This one had a broken bracket, so we had to do some funky stuff to the car to get it on there. We'll remove those, and then there's one 12mm nut. In some cars, it's a 10mm nut, or bolt, I'm sorry, on the other side that we're gonna pull off, and then we'll drop the whole core out. Sometimes, if you don't have a helping hand, you can use a jack or something underneath so it doesn't drop out of the car. But I think we're okay, so let me go ahead and get this off. All right, so this one's gonna go a little bit quick here. We're going to get our handy dandy Matco because that's what I like to do. And then we're going to stick a 12mm on the end of her and get her, oh my gosh, it's a 14. We're gonna get a 14mm, stick it on the end of her, and loosen it up. So, got that situated. That'll come right out. So we gotta jump to the other side, get the 14mm over there. Holy moly. It's not a 14, that one's a 12. Oh. Let's try that again. One thing I'm doing here, I don't know if you can see it, is holding the core with my knee so it doesn't hit the floor. It's all right, I got it. And what we're gonna do is just kind of, oh, this one's on there, so let's get this bolt all the way out. And then we'll go ahead and lower this core down right there. And we're gonna save all the hardware because it's gonna go with it. And so that's it on pulling the core out. We're almost ready to go. Now we're just gonna go ahead and pull the crash bar off. There's two 10mm nuts, and then there's three 12mm bolts on each side. So we're just gonna zip those off real quick and get this crash bar out of here. And that would be the next step. So get this 10mm off here. And let that dangle down. That's just the temp sensor there. And we're gonna put the nuts up there. Next step, we're gonna pull these 12mm off. We've got the 10mm missing from the other side already, so we're just rip these off here. Pull this crash bar off the car. It's the old Pierce Motorsports crash bar right there. If you guys don't have one and you're rocking any intercooler from OEM to 845 to Turbo Sxth to Sxth Element, doesn't matter. Pierce can make you a bar if you don't have one already. So check these out. These things are strong. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put the crash bar on the car next, and then we'll hang the intercooler, just to put it in place. We'll probably go through and button up the whole hot side first. Jump to the cold side. We're gonna have to move the oil cooler that's on this car. So it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge putting this on, but let's just start doing it. I'm gonna go ahead and get this Sxth Element crash bar. Also pretty good crash bar, very similar shaped, and well, it's identical shape to the Pierce Motorsports deal with some Sxth Element base plates on here. Both crash bars are pretty identical as far as structure goes. So there's these little, there we go. And what we're gonna do is just kind of temporarily put everything in place. We're not gonna crank everything down till the end, but we'll just hand tighten everything so that way we have a little bit of movement to where we can adjust anything that we may need to. I've installed one other Sxth Element kit, And I don't think I had any issues as far as lining everything up. Everything went together pretty easy, so I don't suspect we'll have any issues with this one, but you never know. Every car is a little bit different, so. All right, on the back of the crash bar, we got 2 bolts here. Oh shit.
We have 1 bolt now.
We have 1 bolt now. And we got the bolts here. So these 2 little guys here. Oh, there goes one. There's one. That's a cover shot right there. Anyways. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hang the new intercooler off of this. It's been a couple days, I would say, since we've put this on. So I don't remember if it goes on this way. Greg says the longer pipe always goes on the passenger side. So make that note, everybody, in case you're wondering how this thing gets set up. So we're just gonna go ahead and thread these in just to hold the intercooler up. And what I'm doing here is putting my knee under the intercooler just to hold it up in place while I do this. You can use a jack stand, you can use a buddy, doesn't matter. Just okay. We're just gonna again hand tighten these. We got to make some horn brackets again, like I said earlier. So we're gonna have to undo these later, but we'll just hang it in place for now, and then that way we can get everything mocked up with the piping. Make sure everything on the piping fits where it needs to. So let's go ahead and get the worst part of it done first. Would be the hot side, and get everything mocked up under there and in place, and that's it. So let's do that. All right, guys, on the hot pipe side, now that we're getting into that, 2 things I want to, or a couple things I want to note are the Sxth kit is designed to use the OEM coupler off of the turbo. On the 845 kit, you do not utilize this piece here. You're going to use something that looks like that on the 845 kit. So if you're going from an 845 kit to a 6 element kit, you're going to have to find your OEM hose. Hopefully you save this coupler. You're going to need that. That's one note we wanted to make. To make your life easy to install this, I would say if it's on the car, you're going to press your res delete into the coupler itself. What I like to do, and it makes it a little bit easier, is just pull this whole thing off the turbo itself. So just pull it off the car. That way you can put the delete pipe on the ground, and you can just press it on, and then tighten this down. Press it on as far as you can get it in. You'll see as you push this in, it'll go up to about where the elbow begins on the inside. So go ahead and push it all the way up. If you look inside, you'll see it right there, right at the bend. So push it up into there. You can tighten this clamp down, and then go ahead and put your 6 element coupler onto the pipe as well, because again, it's easier to put the leverage. It's a really tight fit, so to put the leverage down and press down on it, it's a lot easier than trying to push up when it's on the car. Again, press this. So this is a coupler that is the same as this one here. I'll show you. It's a 2-step coupler, or I guess a reducer, whatever you want to call it. Bigger on one side, smaller on the other side. So when you go ahead and press this on, just go press it all the way down in until the size starts to flange out to get bigger. That should be perfect for this setup. So I don't have the clamps tight on here. I just have it, placed on there, so that way when I get it into place, I don't have to pull it all apart, put the clamp back on. So we're going to go ahead and crawl onto the car, and we're going to place this on first, and then we'll put our couplers on just loose, and then we'll get everything aligned up, all the pipes on, and then after everything lines up perfectly, we'll go around and tighten each clamp down. So I just wanted to mention that outside from underneath the car. But let's crawl back under there and install this and get all the piping lined up. So that's that. All right, so now back under the car here, we're gonna go ahead and slide our hot pipe extension up onto the turbo. I'll go ahead and wiggle that on there. And then make sure you push it all the way up until it bottoms out there. So we're just gonna leave that loose until we get to the next step, because we might need to clock it this way. We might need to clock it this way. We're not sure quite yet. So we'll leave all our couplers loose on here, and that would be the step right there. So next one would be the hot pipe on the front of the car, and we're gonna run the hot pipe underneath to meet this, and then as long as everything lines up perfectly there, we'll go ahead and tighten all our clamps down. So let's go ahead and put that lower hot pipe back on. Okay, so the hot pipe on the front of the car, the silicone big pipe, it's easy to put on the front, so you guys can figure that out. But we're gonna go ahead and just kind of place it under and slide it onto the intercooler for now, and just kind of have it floppy here. And then we're gonna get our hot pipe set up real quick. And what we're going to do is make sure we have, so we have our clamp here, and then we got our, oh, we already got a clamp. So we got our clamp set up. This hot pipe, we're gonna connect it here and here. So what the easiest way, because we have the Pierce Motorsports 2-point tie bar here, everything's gonna go above the tie bar. So guys, don't install anything under the tie bar, it's all above it. So we're gonna slide it up in there, and then we're gonna, you know, you probably can't see from this angle, but we're gonna slide the pipe into the coupler that we have here. And then just kind of put that there for now. And then we're gonna run it down, and we're gonna slide it into the hot pipe on this side. So what we could do is just slide the clamp onto the hot pipe so it's out of the way, and then we'll push this into place. So, and then where this is gonna sit right in this canal here, and we're gonna use a bracket that they supply here. One thing I'm gonna note on this bracket, I've installed on the other one that I installed as well. We have a metal bracket, metal pipe, and it doesn't really clamp it tight to the engine case. It just the pipe kind of hovers in there. I put a little piece of hose in there. I don't know if you can see that. And then I run 2 zip ties to hold it down to the bracket. And why I do that is, 1, it soaks up some of the play, so it holds the pipe tighter up in there, and 2, you don't get any of the rattling when you're driving your car. So it kind of acts as an insulator. So it came with this and 2 Allen screws. 2 of these Allen screws. We're gonna go ahead and put that in place, and so we can see how this thing sits and where it's gonna live. So just like that, and then we'll go ahead and put these nuts in here, or bolts. I keep calling them bolts, nuts, and nuts, and I got nuts in my mind, I guess. Son of a bitch. All right, righto. And they made these an Allen wrench, which I didn't grab. Oh, you know what? I got them. Okay, so we'll go ahead and stick this into place here. Okay, so it's still gonna wobble in there a little bit, but you're not gonna get any of that clanking sound. The other kits that I did see that we installed, and not even the ones that I installed, but ones that I see come here for maintenance or whatever the reason the car comes here, when they don't put that rubber in here, it will start rubbing into the hot pipe. I imagine over time it could rub a hole into it, so it's just, you know, that's just something you guys might want to do yourself. It's not necessary, but it's kind of a nice little touch. On these, if you have a long Allen wrench like this, go ahead and stick it in the hole. Get yourself a wrench, and what I like to do is just put the wrench in here like a lever and give it a turn to make it nice and tight. You could do it like this, but there's not a lot of room in here, so a long Allen and a wrench put on there is great. So now everything looks good where we like it. I'm gonna make sure when you put this on there, you look up top here, make sure it's not hitting the axle. I've seen another 6 element kit come here, and the coupler was actually rubbing on the axle itself. So when you guys install these, just be careful, be cognizant, I think that's the word, of where the axle is and in relevance to the couplers. Everything looks good here so far, so I think this is good. We're gonna go ahead and tighten all these hose clamps up and just keep it moving. So up top, we got an 8mm clamp that goes to the turbo. So this one is most important. If you guys develop, I know I said this in the last video too, if you guys develop some kind of boost leak, it's normally this clamp at the turbo. So whatever you do, make sure this one is on all the way and tighten the living hell out of it. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but trust me, I'm tightening an 8mm, I guess, nut hose clamp. If you guys really want to see how to tighten this clamp, you can watch the 845 intercooler kit video. We got some nice shots of the clamp up there. It's a beautiful clamp. Tremendous clamp. The clamp is great, people. Okay, it's pretty tight. It's as tight as I can get that one. I'm gonna slide down to the next 8mm clamp. Trust me, again, it's a great clamp. It's a tremendous clamp.
Don't be afraid, won't let you fall, girl.
All right, guys. The kit comes with a giant zip tie. So I think they realized there was an issue here with the axle. So let's go ahead and put their zip tie that's supplied in the kit. I'll push this up in there, and I'm supposing we're gonna go ahead and zip tie around the AC line right where that little funky bulb is. I think we talked about that in the 845 kit deal too, so let's go ahead and use that. I'm gonna try to get it as close around the hard pipe as I can, because if you zip tie it up against the silicone pipe, it's just gonna crush it. So we don't want to do that. So I think we're gonna, I wonder if we go around, oh shit, too late. All right, thank you, Greg.
Not a problem.
So there we have it, guys. The hot pipe on is pretty much installed. We got all our clamps tightened. We got about a ½ inch clearance on the axle itself. We have our hot pipe installed with our little trusty dusty, handy dandy, I don't even know what this is, a hose of some kind, cut in half, zip tied on for superb maximum cushioning of your hot pipe. And then we got our fat zip tie. In fact, you know, I think these zip ties are the same ones that when they arrest you, when they hog tie your ass. I'm pretty sure I've seen these before. So they're tough, I'll tell you. They're tough. I think that's good. So let's go to the front of the car. Continue on with this install. We're gonna tighten the hose clamp that's on the hot side to the intercooler core, and then we'll hop over to the cold pipe and get that all situated, and then whatever. So let's just go to the front of the car. All right, so we got the hot side done. We're on the cold side. We went ahead and put the 6 element coupler on. This car had a 60mm throttle body on here, but we forgot to mention that when we got the kit. So we had to stretch the coupler that came with the kit that does for the 57mm throttle body. The only reason why I'm bringing that up is it can be done. It is not easy. We had to pull the throttle body off the car, and to get it on there it took 2 people. It was not easy, but it can be done. So if you guys don't happen to get the right coupler or upgrade the throttle body later, you can use that coupler if you have to, or you can just call Sxth Element and they'll get you the right coupler. They have them in stock, so ready to go. So we went ahead and got that clamped on. We got our hose clamps all set up to where we have them. Down here, we got our cold pipe set up. We went ahead and put all the clamps. I like to situate them on the bottom like this. So we have that situated, ready to go on. This coupler is going to sit in the car like this behind. We have it set up so that way we can reach this one from underneath the car, and we're going to be able to reach this one to tighten it from the front of the car right here. We're going to go ahead and slide this on to the intercooler here. So actually, let's do this. Let's go ahead and put this elbow on the pipe first. It'll be easier that way. Well, let's go ahead and do that. Actually, what we're going to do is slide the coupler onto the pipe first. And we're going to go ahead and slide this on. And then we're going to slide the clamp over it after it's on the pipe. Okay. And then this one's going to be more of a vertical thing, I'm thinking. So all right. So now that it's going to look similar to this. Everything's loose so we can move it around. I haven't done one of these new cold pipe setups yet, so I'm going to go ahead and slide this into place and kind of just slide it right on there. And then just put everything temporarily in its location. It's going to sit right in there somewhat like that, and then we're going to slide the rest of the cold pipe in there. Before we do that, we're just going to test fit it. We still have to put the flange, the blow off valve, and the map sensor on there, or the boost sensor I guess you'd call it. So what I'm looking at is we're going to have to move all these wires out of the way. So it's going to slide in there. We're going to take this apart again, but we're just test fitting everything. Make sure it all sits in great spots there. And you know, I think that looks good. So we can move this out a little bit so it clears there. So that's how the cold pipe's going to sit in the car. The valve's going to sit right here. It looks like there's plenty of room for clearance on the valve. Everything looks like it's in a good spot on this one. Clears the transmission. This looks really good, so they did a good job on that. Yeah, I like that. So now that we have that in there, I'm going to go ahead and pull the cold pipe back off. We're going to put the valve on there. We're going to put the boost sensor in there, and then we'll put it in permanently. So let's go ahead and pull it off again and get that buttoned up. All right, we got the valve on there. We got the map sensor. I figured it's probably best to have it pointing down. I think the wires fit better, and then anytime you have an electrical connection, if you could have it facing down so water doesn't pool in there, it's probably better. So everything looks good here. Let's try to get this on the car. And just like we did the first time, we're going to push this bottom pipe down in there first. That's where everything lives. Right there. So everything looks great. Clearance wise, the pipe's in. So what I'll do next is we're gonna go ahead, before we set up the boost lines or the vacuum lines onto the blow-off valve and onto the pipe, we're gonna just run through, tighten all the clamps, tighten all the bolts here, tighten the backside of these. Actually, we won't tighten the backside of these, we gotta make brackets for the horns. So we'll leave that to the very end, but let's just go ahead and tighten everything else, and we'll do that real quick. So we'll do that in hyperspeed. What we're going to do is plug in your boost sensor here. Put that in there. There we go. And this is to the blow-off valve, so we'll redirect that, and we'll reset this up, the MAC valve. But this line is going to go down into the charge pipe, which is down here. Let me get under the car, maybe. Alright guys, that wraps up the video for today as far as the install on the 6 element kit. All in all, it's a pretty easy install, I would say. Switching from 845 to 6, there's a few things we had to figure out, so it took a little extra time. But I think going from an OEM setup to installing this on your car will be pretty easy. I don't think there's any one thing that stands out to me as something I would need to go over in detail. It's pretty straightforward. 6 Element, they give you a pretty detailed instruction sheet. Actually, it doesn't tell you any instruction, it's more of a packing slip, but the illustration here kind of shows you which parts go where in case you get confused. And I think they also have installation instructions on their website as well in PDF form. But after it's all together, final fitment, it's pretty good. I don't think we have any clearance issues. Nothing's hitting anything. It's pretty stable on the car. The cold pipe, everything fits great. There's nothing binding or hitting anything. The intake doesn't hit the cold pipe, which is happens on other kits. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions at all, just hit us up in the comments below. If you need an immediate response, hit us up on Facebook. I mean, we're on YouTube as well, pretty much all day long. So any of those, we can get at you pretty quick or respond to you. If you guys, we have a ton of requests that we're going through, so we'll get to all those. And if there's anything else, keep the requests coming. If there's something you want to see or don't understand, let us know when we'll attack it. And if you guys could do us a favor and like, share, and subscribe to our channel, it would help us a lot. So we're going to go ahead and button up the car as far as we're going to change the oil and do a bunch of other stuff on this thing, put the bumper back on, and get it out of here. All right, guys. See you later.